On back to Alice's instance of the Posit Cloud. And what we're going to do here is to take a look at some of the features of the RStudio IDE and and run you through some of the things that we see here. Up at the top, you'll see menus like you would see at the top of many of the applications you would normally be using. We see a window here, which is essentially a code editor. We'll get into it later. We see some information here on the environment. What this is doing right now is showing me the data data structures that have been defined on a previous run. I'm just going to clear that out so that we can start with a blank slate. We've got places where we can look for files that are in our thing, for files that are in our project. We can look at packages that are available. We can call up some help and some other things. So what we have down here is we've got the console. The console is indicated with this prompt. Console is a place where you can type in R commands directly. So if you wanted to use it as a simple calculator, you could. If you wanted to explore some more complicated R commands, you can. Let's take a look at the graphics demo as an example here. So what I'm running here is a function called demo, and it's going to show me the some graphics demos. So it's asking for some interaction, type return to start. It's giving some R commands, and we can go over here and see what the plot for this looks like. And let's just clear those. The terminal is sometimes useful. This is where you can go if you actually need to enter some commands in the operating system that is underlying your installation. So the operating system here is Unix, so I can take a list of all of my files that are in this directory. So it can be helpful at sometimes if you don't want to back all the way out of your RStudio. Um, but probably where we'll be spending a lot of our time is in this program editor place here. So I'm just going to shrink down the console and start creating a new script. So R is a scripting language. It's good practice to give it a name as soon as you can. So I'm going to call it unvotes.r. I've already got one of those, so it's probably going to ask me if I want to overwrite it. Yes. And I can start pulling in some R commands in here. One of the very useful things in most programming languages is the ability to add comments. So one way of putting comments into an R script is to put in this character, the number sign, the pound sign, the octothorpe, the hash you want, anything to the right of anything to the right of that that symbol is considered to be a comment and is not executed by the software. in most of the work we'll be doing is with the tidyverse. So I'm just going to make sure that we've got the tidyverse installed. Erg. And I'll just run that line to see what happens. One or more is currently loaded, restarting art. So I'll just say no this time. Okay, so there's a few other packages that I would need to install if I was starting this from scratch, but I'm not. So I'm going to load up the libraries that I'm going to need for this demonstration. And that's them there. Tidyverse makes data manipulation and graphing much easier. Lubridate contains some functions for manipulating dates, scales you can use to affect axis scales. DT is for data tables, and UN votes is a data set that we're going to be using for this. So I'm going to load up those libraries, and I'm going to save that again while, oh, I guess I don't need to because I ran it, it automatically saved. I'm going to enter in some commands. So what this symbol here is an assignment operator. So that's saying that the data structure UN votes is going to take on the value of a data structure called UN underscore votes piped to something that is joining the data, two different data files by something called an RCID. So record ID, I believe. So we can run that, and we're going to want to do some manipulating of this data, these data. So again, what we've got is we're taking this data structure called UN votes, and what we're doing is filtering it so that we're only looking at United Kingdom, United States, Turkey, and Canada. Maybe I'll turn off Canada for now. And that's, we're doing some mutation to the data set, so we're reformatting the year. We're going to group the records by country, year, and issue. So the issues that we're looking at are things like colonialism and arms control and so on. We're going to summarize the data set by a percentage. So we're looking at the percentage of votes that are equal to yes. And then we're going to do some plotting, and we'll get more into what these plotting commands mean. But this GG, all of this is stuff related to the plotting. This facet wrap will give us a graph with multiple panels, and this labs thing will give us the labels for the graphs that we're taking a look at. So if I run that, it sends some plots to the plots panel on the IDE. These aren't terribly beautiful, um, but you can get an idea that on a lot of issues, United Kingdom and United States are voting similarly, and on many issues, Turkey is voting differently than the United Kingdom and the United States. So we've been running that sort of a chunk at a time or a piece at a time. We could source the whole file and it would just run all of the stuff again. Okay, so that's that is useful. You can just run things as a script, but something that I find to be a lot more useful is to create a Quarto document and and run run this through something called Quarto. So Quarto is some software that allows you to integrate documentation and code and output from codes in one document. It's we're going to be using it a lot in this course. It's got a few different kinds of output that it can send things to. We're going to use HTML because that's nice and it's fast. It's easy to view with a web browser. Um, PDF gives really nice printed documents. And if you like to use Microsoft Word, you can send it to Microsoft Word um, file and do what you want to with it later. So we'll create this document. And what we're going to do is uh, it gives us a sample document on how we can use it. It allows us to use a visual editor or a source editor. So the source is uses some markdown commands to identify headings and things, uses triple backticks to indicate code. Probably for most of you, as you're getting started, the, the visual editor will be more useful for you. I'll put some better capitalization on this. So this block here is called a YAML, Y-A-M-L block. It contains some of the controls for the for the run, and you can see here that the R code in this case is indicated in these grayed out boxes. So what what I will do is to create a new Quarto document that uh, will allow me to comment on what I'm doing here. So I'm going to load the libraries. You would probably want to put some more useful information in here. We can insert an executable cell. We're going to use R. We can copy in the load library code that we need. Uh, we can read in the data, and we can just put the stuff in there. And we can we can tidy up the data and create some pretty graphs. There is another thing that I want to show you here. One of the advantages of using HTML is that we can create interactive documents. And we'll just, oops, again, we'll insert something for cell and paste that stuff in there. Okay, so we've got things here. We could run chunks one at a time. We could run all of the chunks above a certain chunk, or we could render the whole document and see what it looks like. It's going to asking me to save it, so I'll call it unvotes.qmd. QMD stands for Quattro Markdown Document, and that's the suffix I use to identify Quarto documents. And yes, I want to replace it. Try again in this case. Okay, so this is the document rendered as HTML. It's putting in the text that we entered in there. It's showing the results of executing the different chunks of our code. You can turn, you can control the level of verbosity on these things if you don't want to see this stuff. Giving us a warning. We're not going to worry about that. And a nice little thing from the library for UN votes saying how to cite that. So we're reading in and joining data. And how come? Oh, I forgot to actually do my graphic. Silly me. I think what happened is my copy didn't copy and paste didn't copy. I'll just rerun that. That's better. So it's a nice mix of explanatory text, our code, pretty output graphics. And here's the demonstration of how you can create interactive documents. So we can switch pages. We can change the number of entries shown in this table. We can search for different sorts of things. So those are the three countries that start with the word United. Okay, so that's it as the quick introduction to R and RStudio. I will stop here for now.